Today's front page. These are the stories that we slept through last night and from the end of the show yesterday. Let's get rolling. Out of national news, a senior U.S. district judge, David Ezra, has ordered the removal of the floating barrier so famously discussed on the Rio Grande on the Texas-Mexico border. Governor Greg Abbott, the state of Texas, must remove, at least temporarily, the buoys placed in the Rio Grande as part of the state effort to control the border with Mexico. This, according to Judge Ezra. In his 42-page order, senior U.S. District Judge David Alan Ezra said he made the ruling after deciding the U.S. Justice Department will likely succeed on the merits of a lawsuit they filed against Governor Abbott and the state of Texas in July. Texas's floating barrier is an obstruction to the navigable capacity of the Rio Grande River and required authorization from Congress. This, according to Judge Ezra. In a statement, Abbott said the state will appeal the ruling. Today's court decision merely prolongs President Biden's willful refusal to acknowledge that Texas is rightfully stepping up to do the job that he should have been doing all along. The governor said that on X, formerly known as Twitter. This ruling is incorrect and will be overturned on appeal. Out of New York City, this from Fox News, New York City Mayor Eric Adams gave his most ominous prediction yet for the fate of New York City, which is grappling with the influx of more than 110,000 illegal migrants. Let me tell you something. This is a quote. "Never in my life have I had a problem that I did not see an ending to. I don't see an ending to this. I don't see an ending to this. This issue will destroy New York City," he repeated, destroy New York City. This is in a town hall meeting on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. "We're getting 10,000 migrants a month." Quote, "We had a $12 billion deficit that we're going to have to cut. Every service in this city is going to be impacted. All of us," Adams said. "It's coming to your neighborhoods. All of us have to be impacted by this. I said last year when we had 15,000. I'm telling you now with 110,000 immigrants, the city we knew we're about to lose, and we're all in this together." Adams placed blame on Republican Texas Governor Greg Abbott and the operation to bus migrants to his sanctuary city. "What happened," said Mayor Adams, "started with a madman down in Texas, decided he wanted to bus people up to New York City," said Mayor Adams in the town hall. Hardline GOP House members are demanding budget cuts, big ones, before passing a continuing resolution to keep the government going. This from USA Today. When the House comes back into session next Tuesday, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy has got a daunting task ahead of him, trying to wrangle his narrow 4-seat GOP majority to pass a temporary spending bill, this called a continuing resolution or a CR, to avoid a government shutdown by September 30th. But McCarthy's right flank from the House Freedom Caucus, a loose coalition of the most conservative lawmakers in the House of Representatives, have drawn hard lines on government spending. The caucus took an official position in August, saying in a statement it will oppose any spending measure that fails to include more security on the southern border and what the group alleges is an unprecedented weaponization of the Department of Justice and take down woke policies in the Pentagon. Those demands have virtually zero chance of passing the Democrat-controlled Senate or even passing with full GOP support in the House. If Speaker McCarthy cannot reconcile the differences between his right flank and the more moderate members of the GOP conference, the government could be on the path toward a shutdown. Hurricane Lee has formed in the Atlantic. It's headed toward the United States. This from USA Today. Hurricane Lee formed yesterday afternoon far out in the Atlantic Ocean. This from the National Hurricane Center. It said it's likely to intensify into an extremely dangerous major hurricane by this weekend. But whether it will make landfall or blow out to sea remains a key decision. It's the fourth hurricane of the 2023 season with a wind speed of 75 miles per hour. The storm is now a Category 1 hurricane. It's expected to become a Category 4 with winds approaching 150 miles an hour by the weekend. Forecasters from the Hurricane Center were not predicting that winds could reach Category 5 status, which is 157 miles an hour. However, meteorologists from AccuWeather said that Hurricane Lee is forecast to intensify rapidly into a powerful Category 5 hurricane by this weekend. The CDC has issued a health advisory for flesh-eating bacteria This from USA Today. A health alert has been issued by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in response to recent reports of a fatal bacterial infection that thrives in warm coastal waters. The vibrovilnificus bacteria can be found in raw or undercooked seafood, salt water, and brackish water. The most common way to become infected, is when an open wound comes into contact with the bacteria in water. At least a dozen people have died from the infection across the country this year. As ocean waters continue to warm due to climate change, the Vibrio vilnificus is migrating north, according to studies. The warmer the water is, the more bacteria can reproduce faster. This, according to researcher Gabby Barberite at the Florida Atlantic University Harbor Branch Oceanographic Institute in Fort Pierce, Florida. U.S. military in the news today. Senators are worried that the United States Navy is going to miss its submarine production goals. This from the Hill. Senators on the Foreign Relations Committee have raised concerns. The U.S. has fallen short of its nuclear submarine target during a Wednesday morning hearing on a trilateral security partnership. Australia, the United Kingdom, and the U.S. have struck a defense deal called AUKUS, A-U-K-U-S. It happened in September of 2021. It was announced as an arrangement for Australia to acquire conventionally armed nuclear-powered submarines through the partnership in March of 2023. As a part of that agreement, Australia agreed to invest approximately $3 billion in the first 4 years of the agreement into U.S. shipbuilding. Quote, "We are grateful that the Australians want to invest $3 billion, said Senator Pete Ricketts. He is a Republican from Nebraska. But where are we going to have to, or what are we going to have to invest to get 66 submarines? The U.S. Navy currently has 49 fast attack submarines. That's 17 submarines short of the 66 vessel goal the military branch previously told Congress it needed in order to properly defend the United States." It was a quick exit from a Medal of Honor ceremony, and the explanation for that quick exit by President Biden, the commander-in-chief, is not flying as we come to this report. This from Fox News. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre's explanation for why President Biden left the previous day's Medal of Honor ceremony did not go over well on social media yesterday. Reporters questioned Jean-Pierre on Biden leaving right after placing a medal on former U.S. Army captain and Vietnam War veteran Larry Taylor before the concluding prayer. "He left as it was planned," said Jean-Pierre. "He left when there was a pause in the program in order to minimize his close contact with attendees who were about to participate in a reception." Users on X did not believe the explanation and mocked Jean-Pierre for attempting to spin it. "Don't lie," said conservative media personality Graham Allen. "Biden was in close contact with people while maskless for the entire ceremony to that point. The way this press secretary continues to insult the intelligence of anybody above a 50 IQ is breathtaking." This according to Fox News contributor Joe Concha. Quote, "So Biden very purposefully abandoned a Medal of Honor recipient on stage before the ceremony was over, meaning the situation was as bad, if not worse, as it looked?" End quote, said Town Hall managing editor Spencer Brown. Elsewhere in politics, Chairman Comer of the House Oversight Committee has repeated his call for the National Archives and Records Administration, NARA, to release to Congress an unredacted copy of emails and documents purporting to show then Vice President Joe Biden's office colluding with the Biden family and its business associates, saying he believes there are more documents in NARA's hands than originally believed. Quote, "There's more evidence of more meetings where Hunter was told that they needed to call Washington for help. We've had Devin Archer testify and say there's evidence that points that the Burisma executives were squeezing Hunter Biden to call Washington for more help. So we know that Hunter Biden was communicating with the White House." This according to a report on the Ingram angle on Fox News yesterday. Quote, "We believe there are more documents that the archives are sitting on showing that Hunter Biden, the legal team of Hunter Biden, the Hunter Biden PR people, and Hunter Biden's shady characters who were paying him were communicating through him to his father and back and forth," unquote. In a December 4th, 2015 message, Then Hunter Biden business associate Eric Schwerin wrote to Kate Bedingfield, then Joe Biden's communications director, with quotations to use from Hunter about his work with the Ukrainian energy firm Burisma. Quote, Bedingfield responded with this quote, VP signed off on this, unquote. Out of Fox News, Hunter Biden is expected to be indicted on a federal gun charge by the end of September. This, according to special counsel David Weiss. He told the U.S. District Judge Mary Ellen Noreika yesterday. The expected charges come after an original plea agreement collapsed in July. Hunter Biden was expected to plead guilty in that month to 2 misdemeanor tax counts of willful failure to pay federal income tax as a part of a plea deal to avoid jail time on a felony gun charge. Hunter was then forced to plead not guilty to 2 misdemeanor tax charges and 1 felony gun charge. Weiss, the U.S. Attorney for Delaware, has been leading the Hunter Biden investigation for years. His appointment as special counsel came amid allegations of politicization impacting prosecutorial decisions in the year-long investigation into the president's son. In state news today, specifically out of the state of Texas, this from Texas Monthly, Paxton defense attorney Tony Busby, questioning yesterday in the impeachment trial of the Texas Attorney General, made good questions and occasional editorial comments on testimony, suggesting that the impeachment proceeding had been orchestrated by a group of Republicans in name only, including Jeff Mateer, currently on the stand, who's currently testifying. He'll be testifying again this morning. Former Land Commissioner George P. Bush. In various instances, Busby has pushed Mateer, one of the staffers who blew the whistle on Paxton, to elaborate on the timeline of the whistleblower lawsuit and his communication with the Attorney General about it specifically. Busby is angling for an answer as to why 8 former aides didn't tell Paxton that they went to the FBI until October 1st of 2020, the same day that George P. Bush applied to reactivate his law license. Bush is one of several Republicans who levied a primary challenge against Paxton in 2022. Paxton routed him in a runoff. Busby has not said it directly, but seems like he's trying to get Mateer to admit under oath that the whistleblowers, Bush, and leadership aligned with groups such as Texas for Lawsuit Reform were trying to get Paxton out of office. It's unclear whether the argument will pass muster, especially because one doesn't need a law license to serve as Attorney General of Texas. That's the front page for today, Thursday, September 7th, 2023.